update y'all on my life, my project. For those of you guys who don't know, I bought a piece of property in Costa Rica. So here we are. Over the last year, I've been developing an agroforestry system, and I did a driveway and 3 terraces for construction in the future. But here's the entrance. I've only planted about maybe a quarter of the property with mostly edible species, supported by species that create biomass and nutrients for the high value species that I've planted here. We're building some cunetas, so some drainage ditches on the side of the road to help the water come off. So right here, we've got the first terrace. I've got a well over there. Here's the second terrace. And then this road continues up. I'm not gonna walk all the way up there, it's far. But it continues up to the top of the hill up there. All the way to the tippy top up there. Where I've built the third terrace. So yeah, that's the overview. I'm surrounded by Mother Nature, cattle farms. It's really, really beautiful. Last spring, we built this fence, which was super hard work to be out digging holes. All those fence posts came from trees that we cut down on this property and also on the property next door. And we carried the posts, which some of them, since it's hardwood in the tropics, they weigh like 150 pounds, some of these guys. You gotta carry them all the way up to the top of the mountain. I was able to strap a few onto my motorcycle, which was funny, but not the big ones. The big ones we carried. Here's a cool thing right here. So the posts that we did for the fence, a lot of the posts that we put, they'll actually start growing into a new tree. You put the post in the ground, the bottom of the post will shoot out roots. It never disintegrates, you know, like a normal fence post would disintegrate over time, decompose, at least the parts that's in the soil. This will never decompose because it's living. As time goes on, I'll be replacing the dead fence posts with living ones as much as possible. So eventually my entire fence will be living and I'll never ever have to replace a fence post again. Here, basically below the first terrace, is where I have all my planted species. I have not planted anything above here, so yeah, not even a quarter of the property is planted yet. And I've got about 40 different high value fruit trees and a bunch of other species that I'll show you guys. We've got horizontal lines running, give or take, on contour. Got a couple of swales that I dug last spring down there. You can see how the swales are lined by what's called vetiver grass. It's got a really deep root system that helps hold the soil in place. Because on the back side of it, if you don't know what a swale is, it's basically a ditch that captures water. So when it runs down the hill, it stays in that ditch because it's on contour. It doesn't run in either direction. It just kind of stays there like a little pond and then slowly infiltrates into the soil. So it can help replenish wells, helps keep the soil moist on the downside of the ditch. But that's one, and then I've got one below it. So this is the newest line of trees that I've planted right here. We had a tree fall down here, right there. That tree. Guasimo, it fell down this summer. We get really heavy winds here in the summertime. I guess it took the tree down, but I've put the trees to use. I've added the trunks and down logs to the tree system here. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of an experiment. this year since I had the material on site. I've got right here a line of high value fruit trees, and then just uphill of it I have all of my support crops. Right here we've got a blue Java banana, and then the next banana down there is a apple banana. But as you can see, I put these sticks in the ground. Those sticks are chicasquil, or it's also called chaya, and also boton de oro, which is like a Mexican sunflower. Both those species you can just cut into branches, it's called cuttings, and stick them in the ground, and they'll shoot up new sprouts and become their own cloned plant. They're really good for biomass. So chicasquil, chaya, that one has got an edible leaf. They call it tree spinach. You gotta boil the leaf before you eat it because it's high in cyanide. This is your chicasquil that I did not chop into cuttings. But yeah, tree spinach, it grows 12 feet tall. Boton de oro, this Mexican sunflower, is really high in phosphorus, so it provides a lot of phosphorus for the trees when you do what's called a chop and drop. So you prune and then you put it on the ground next to your high value fruit trees to give them a little extra boost of nutrients. Right here we've got a jackfruit, honey jackfruit, super fast growing fruit that gives really ginormous offerings. This is an avocado. The avocados, they haven't really done too well on this property. I think it's pretty high in clay content in my soil. So avocados typically like well draining soil. This is definitely not well draining. Hopefully, since we're on like a rounded contour, it'll drain a little bit better, but we'll see how that theory plays out. That's kind of the awesome thing about what I'm doing here, is I can kind of play around and see what works and what doesn't, and then learn every planting season how the trees went. Got here what we call a cuadrado. It's a plantain. And this is kind of a funny story. The papayas here, I actually planted last spring. They didn't sprout last rainy season, which was kind of weird. And then I showed up last week and I had a bunch of papayas. I couldn't believe my eyes because it had been one rainy season already, and I guess they laid dormant for a whole year before they decided to sprout. We'll see if they survive the rainy season and the upcoming dry season. This right here is a mango. They'll grow in pretty much any soil type. I mean, they're just happy as can be. They're a super easy tree here. Definitely a native species. They grow all over the place around here. So yeah, mangoes are awesome. On the downhill side of my fruit tree line, I just put a bunch of what's called gandul, or some people call it frijo de palo. But I just put a bunch of that stuff on the downhill side of the high value fruit trees to provide them with shade in the dry season. They grow super quick. They're also a really good chop and drop species. They're a legume, so they're high in nitrogen. Lay them down at the bottom of the high value fruit trees. They can provide nitrogen for the fruit trees. Here's the next line of trees. I've got a coconut we just put in the ground. Trying to get more coconuts. Love coconuts. They're really good for calories and they can provide water. There's another plantain we just put in the ground. More chicasquil, boton de oro, along with the vetiver. So the vetiver is also a really good chop and drop. Naranja, I think it's an orange. I've just got all my citrus trees here in the line, so it's hard to tell the difference. At least for me, I'm not really a expert in citrus. I've got orange, mandarins, mandarinas we call them. I've got limes and a lemon tree, coconut, and another citrus. Finger lime, it's kind of a rare species. Look it up if you haven't. This is the start of the swale. So right here we've got a bread nut. They call it castaña. Bread nut grows super fast. It reached 12 feet tall within a year and a half. On the uphill side with the boton de oro, cuadrados, chicasquil, And then on the downhill side, those are all beans, those big guys right over there. We've also let a couple of volunteer species grow. That right there is called a melina. Super quick growing. It was a little tiny baby 1 year ago, and that's what it looks like today. It provides really good shade. Looks like homeboy got bit by an ant. So we're down here beneath the swale. So that's the swale right there on contour. And then all of my fruit trees. This right here is a jaboticaba. We just planted this one. We'll see how it goes. Here we've got the beach mangosteen. I'm not sure how well it's going to do here because our dry season's so long, but we'll see what happens. This is where the avocado was. The avocado was not happy. I think it was too wet. So that's why I put the beach mangosteen here. It really likes the wet climate. Here we've got cacao. Cacao really likes the shade, so it's underneath this huge plantain. I planted one plantain here last year. I've harvested a couple of racks already and harvested a couple of what we call hijos, which is, if you guys don't know, the plantain, it shoots up new roots, which become new trees from the main mother stem. And so they clump like that. And so right here you can see the mother probably is dead at this point, but that might be the mother right there, the biggest one. And then we've got hijo right here, hijo right here. These are all sprouted up from the main mother. You can actually dig those out, move them, transplant them to other areas of the farm where they can produce new clumps and more fruit. This guy is not super happy. I think he likes the sun, and it's pretty shady here. It's already 2 years old, so we're gonna leave this guy and just whatever. It's called an ice cream bean or guava. It was supposed to be like a chop and drop, fast growing tree that I was gonna use to help shade the other trees, but since it's in the shade, it hasn't really been doing that great. We've got something called nyampi. It's kind of like taro, if you know what taro is. It's like sweet potato. You can basically take, the potatoes and plant them other places, and they'll grow more and more and more and more as the years go on. So having that species here is great. Hi, doggy. Another cacao. Oh, there. You got the oh, Jesus Christ. It scared the shit out of me. Lizards, I guess, like to eat cacao leaves, so cool. Thank you. Guanabana, super good cancer fighting fruit, delicious. Tastes like juicy fruit gum. Oh, these all to my right is the bean, whole bean. This is another ice cream bean. It's a little happier, as you can see, because there's more sun here. That's why I have that theory. We've got yucca. Yucca is another root crop. And the yucca is cool because you can do cuttings of it as well and just basically multiply your food over and over and over again. It's like a potato. Another mango. Shit's fucking happy. Always happy, mangoes are. Coconut. 3 coconuts. Vetiver along the edge here because this is where the road is, and I didn't want the road to erode. The vetiver, like I said before, has the roots. It got the roots. I've got no roots. Katuk. This is a new experiment. I got some katuk cuttings. It's really high in protein. Eat it in your salads. Pineapple. I just moved that one because it was in the shade, not very happy. Now it's in the sun. We'll see how it goes. I wanted to try rosemary. So we got some shade for it with the beans here. This is oregano, Mexican oregano. Also kind of an experiment. And yeah, another line of fruit trees here at the bottom. We've got, I believe that one is Nantes. It's good stuff. Local. It's happy wherever. It survived the dry season with no shade at all. Another line of Chicasquil, Chaya, Boton de Oro. Got vetiver. And then we've got plantains to provide our fruit trees with more biomassa. biomass. A moringa tree. They call it like the miracle tree. The leaves are edible and it grows huge and fast. The ants really like it, so they ate all the leaves. When I showed up, it was basically just a barren tree. It looked dead. So what I did is I chopped it, and it grows by cuttings as well. And so I planted the cuttings here. We'll see if they take or not. Hopefully I'll have 4 moringa trees as opposed to just 1. That right there is a mora mulberry tree. You can see around the base of it, I put plantain trunks that helps maintain moisture and also provides good compost. So put it around the base, and you don't have to give it as much water in the dry season because the stems of the plantain trees are full of water. That is another mangosteen. Here we're below the next swale. Look how happy the nyampi is here in the rainy season. And then we've got here acerola. I have no idea the name in English, but it's kind of like a berry, I guess you could say. And then here we've got more yucca or nyampi. And then this one is pataxte, type of cacao. It's like white chocolate, I guess you could call it. See how it goes? It looks like it's getting eaten. So it's definitely a species from a more wet area, but this is a wet area of the farm. Yeah, over here we've got more fruit trees and more boton de oro, more chicasquil, more beans. There is a mamonchino or rambutan. So yeah, underneath my feet are all the beans that I planted, and then line of fruit trees. This is yuplon. It provides a fruit. It's really good for the living fence. I can chop them up and put them along the fence and make a living fence that also gives me fruit. Hachira aquatica. It's like a walnut, I guess you could say. They also call it the money tree. A lot of you guys probably have this tree in your house as like a house plant, but it produces a nut that's super nutrient rich. We'll see how it goes. It likes really wet zones typically. I'm gonna put some irrigation down. And then this guy, I planted underneath a palm tree, which is kind of a mistake because the palm fronds, they fall. We use them as biomass, but they fall and they fall on young trees. So this guy got hit. Ylang ylang, it produces a flower that smells really good. People make it into perfumes. Yeah, here we are at the bottom corner of the farm. It's all up from here. Yeah, buddy. Just want to say thank you to everybody who's been by my side through all this. It's been a crazy process, you know, from buying the property with no entrance or road. It was literally just cattle pasture when I bought it. And I've been slowly working towards getting water, electricity, a house built, obviously focusing a lot on the fruit trees and the farming aspect of it. I want to definitely one day have a cabinet here full of groceries that I can just walk out my front door and grab from the earth. I'm hoping when I expand out into the other parts of the farm that I'll have more and more food as we go. But trying to just accumulate species, accumulate biomass. Super excited to share with you guys my journey. This is a 1-year update on the farm from when I started planting. I've had the farm for about 5 years now. Just slowly been trying to save up money for trees and earthworks and building the well. And hopefully in the future, I'm looking forward to building a house and maybe some cabins to rent out, but we'll see how that goes in the future. Fingers crossed I can send Bitcoin to the moon with this video. Not just playing. But yeah, working hard, trying to make it happen. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey.